Hi everyone, welcome to the Break It Down podcast. It's me, Joel at Codebreak, and today joining me, I've got Fergus. Hi, Fergus.
Hello, how are you?
All right, yeah, full of beans today. What about you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to match your energy.
Yeah, I thought I'd go in hard, you know.
It's good. It's good. It's a good wake up. Nice. Yeah, I've been good. How are you?
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sort of trying not to get too down about lockdown. Trying to kind of not get too down about people not following lockdown.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm trying to stay away from it, but because of things being less certain now, I'm getting a lot of stories of stuff that would aggravate me if I didn't ignore it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm going through that kind of thing. I mean, we've had a couple of kind of tragedies during this where we obviously couldn't go and see people when they needed us and couldn't go to funerals and stuff.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, my neighbour has his friends round, and it's kind of like, are you for real? Like, what aren't you understanding?
Yeah, it's magical what people can disconnect themselves from.
Oh, it's just
it's
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Give people room to breathe. Give them a vague message, and they will find the gaps. You know?
I think it's been an interesting period where we've seen the best and worst out of people in a very concentrated space. So we're seeing amazing support for the NHS and everything like that, which is really cool. Loads of people doing lots of really nice services and businesses helping people out where they can. And then on the flip side, we've got people who just can't follow rules.
Oh, some crazy stuff, yeah.
Which, as English people, probably irks us more than other nations. But for me, one of my biggest switches for aggravating me is just seeing a rule that is very simple, and then people just completely not following it.
Wow, it's just baffling, isn't it? It blows my mind.
Yeah.
I kind of, you know, on a very, very selfish level, although maybe not selfish, because I don't just want this for me, but I want to get back to normal as quickly as possible, and kind of not doing what you're meant to do delays that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because people are like, the only reason people are breaking the rules is because they also want to get out soon. But you just have to have the foresight to realise that if you rush it, then it'll take longer.
Yeah. Someone described to me like when you get a group detention at school and then someone pulls up in the group detention, so you get another one.
That is absolutely nailed it on the head. That's the last time I felt like this.
Yeah.
It actually is. Like when the teacher holds the class back and she's like, we're only going to let you go once everyone sits still for 5 minutes. And you're just like, I'll sit still for 5 minutes, but these guys are not going to sit still for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I suppose we better tell the listeners what we're talking about. I mean, we can get on a tangent, but I wanted to talk to people about niching and finding their niche audience. I've recorded a video this morning about it, and I know that people are kind of scared of it. I was scared of it as a business owner because you're worried that by niching down your audience, you're excluding people who otherwise might buy from you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it makes sense to be like on the surface level, it can be scary, totally.
Yeah.
But what you find late game is that actually that's the way you build a community and build your sales and actually reach people.
Yeah. I think exactly that. You suddenly find that there's less friction in your business, things flow better, you feel like you're friends with your clients or your customers, even if you've not met them before. It's suddenly...
Yeah, it allows you to be bolder too, and like actually have a personality and
have a voice.
Probably more confident in yourself and your business, rather than like I think we've spoken about that kind of thing a lot. But just it's impossible to stay broad because you don't have a personality if you're trying to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could niche on price rather than kind of on audience. So you could say, right, I'm going to appeal to the people who are looking for like bargain basement, or I'm going to appeal to people who are looking for ultra premium, and that in itself niches the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Which then that's a different thing. Or you could niche like we niche and kind of go for people who are interested in the same things we're interested in, have the same outlook on business and marketing that we have, kind of understand why we're a little bit in your face, why we kind of are willing to put our necks on the line. Why something we talk to clients about is that if we aren't invested in your business, if we don't care about your business, this isn't going to work. That kind of relationship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's well, I mean, we talk about that all the time for us, don't we? Well, I have done for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you'll attest to it. I'm constantly banging on about staff buy-in. If you guys can't see what we're up to and can't get on board, how the hell are we going to tell it to people?
I think that was like one of the first big hurdles, wasn't it? Is getting people in the company on the same page about not necessarily who we are, but like
what we are.
Actually, what we are exactly, and how we appeal to our clients. Who are our clients? Because you can group a bunch of people and not know the connections unless you think about it, discuss it with everybody, so everyone knows why these people work with us, why others might not work with us, and that kind of thing. But we put loads of work. You did loads of training on that, and that was the first thing, wasn't it? Really, I think for us anyway.
I remember. I remember. Probably shouldn't use the words that we use, but sitting everybody down and saying you're either on the bus or something, and and everyone turned and looked like, oh my god, like he's broken. Something's gone wrong.
Yeah, I was like, well, at the end of this year, I'm probably either going to be super on the bus or I'm going to need a therapist. So,
and then I guess when we explained it and said, look, it's about finding the joy in helping people and helping the people that make us feel like that.
Yeah.
Suddenly it changed.
Yeah. I think like a really nice way of doing that as well. Like we around the same time got the values framed and everything like that, and it seems like something that like you hear about a lot of big companies doing and stuff like that, and like, you might, that won't do anything, but genuinely does actually help. So when they're like on the wall behind you, like it doesn't help immediately, but like by this point it does make a big difference, I think.
Yeah, particularly because we've brought new staff on board after that.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I reckon as a new member of staff coming in, that is super helpful, and because the amount that we've increased talking about that kind of stuff anyway in the office, like combines with that. So I imagine onboarding for like new members of staff was a lot easier.
Are you getting all this ambient noise of cars tooting horns outside?
I am. I actually thought that was outside my house, but it's yours. What's going on?
Yeah, it's my neighbours not following social distancing. It's a prime example. This is me starting the podcast really hyped, really excited for a pod. Just starting to grind my teeth now. So it's just.
Oh no.
So what have you been up to? What's been going on? Let's not talk about them.
Oh, well, just generally.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool. I started watching the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show because it's actually really bloody good. And I was going to say you should probably check it out. It's just the last season, but it's only 10 episodes long, maybe, and they're only 20 minutes long each. But it covers the story between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, just really interesting. All the stuff you don't see on camera. So that's what I've been doing, and playing an awful lot of guitar because I've had some time. And you've been doing that as well, right?
Probably not playing it.
I still call it playing it. How has that been going?
I know A and E.
Solid
chords so far.
Yeah.
A's really hard. That would be my feedback. My fingers have hardened up now, so that's probably good.
That's one of the things. Once you get it to a place where it's comfortable, it doesn't really go too much. Like if I don't play for a week, it'll sort of hurt, but not in the same way as it does when you first start.
Like my index finger on my left hand is pretty solid now. It feels like leather. So.
Yeah, yeah. I'm teaching my father-in-law to play, and he's had similar issues, and he's got massive hands. I'm not like, I don't have huge hands, so I've always found it quite easy. All the fiddly chords are quite easy.
Okay.
But trying to teach some of the more complex ones to people who are actually large men, it's really difficult. I wanted to get him an extra large guitar or something.
Well, that's it. So I think I have to cross fingers on the A chord.
Yeah.
And there is just not enough room on that chord for my fingers to do that. And I get more and more irate, and then your hand starts to cramp. And anyway, the listeners don't need to know. speaking of Star Wars, I've just finished Mandalorian, so I'm.
Oh yes, I've been asking you about that for weeks now.
Yeah, okay, I've done it now.
How good is that?
I am well into it, and the best bit / worst bit is my friend posted on Twitter middle of last week, Mandalorian 5 out of 10, meh. And I was like, what? And then I watched it, and all the kind of Easter eggs, just the way they tied it in. I was really into it.
Was he a Star Wars fan, or were they a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, major Star Wars fan. Yeah.
Oh, I can't abide that because I'm a really big Star Wars fan, and I feel like loads of people say that, but I'm a really big Star Wars fan. This might be my favorite thing in the last 10 years. Easy. Just so good.
It doesn't beat Rogue One for me. I loved Rogue One.
It does for me, but not because of the execute. Like, I think the execution for both is really good and on par. I just prefer the setting and time period. But yeah, you're right. Rogue One was fantastic.
But I'm into it. If you're kind of into those Saturday afternoon westerns that you watch with your grandma type thing, Mandalorian is on the money. It's like, like the A-Team or something like that. It's just really easy viewing, really cool, really well made.
That's the thing as well. They tied that relationship between a Star Wars sci-fi and kind of a spaghetti western, perfectly. Like the feel is it's seamless between the two. It's so nice to see.
Yeah, it's such a fallback to like how when you first see Han Solo in the original film.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's like it's the 2020s answer to like that kind of movie, isn't it? Yeah. No, I'm really glad you finished it.
Yeah, but and I've also just finished The Last Dance on Netflix, which in terms of if you want to know about mindset for success, I should give some context. So it's a documentary about Michael Jordan and the championship years he spent with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
And just his mindset and how present he is, how he's able to be in the moment all the time and alter what's going on around him all the time is unbelievable.
Well, that sounds really cool. I've not seen anything about it. Apparently Netflix doesn't think that I'm interested.
I watch too many sports documentaries, that's why.
Yeah, I need to get the algorithm.
This one, it's edited really well. The music's amazing, which kind of gets you hyped anyway. Just watch a man. I mean, to give you an indication of what he's going through, his dad got murdered midway through his career. And he managed to keep himself on track. It's like,
God,
unbelievable.
I know there's loads of people on the planet, but it always surprises me when you encounter or you're told a story about someone who is just stupidly focused or just resounding. I'll check it out for sure. I like it's that it's hearing stories about people who just have the most unbelievable work ethic, and then listening to people who are at the top of their crafts that I just can't get enough of on documentaries and things.
Yeah, I really like that, and I like how it kind of blurs the line between none of these people are perfect. That's what I really like about it, is that you can see the problems that he'd got in his life and the things that distracted him. But when it mattered, he was still the best.
Yeah, he was committed to. Yeah, he can compartmentalize a little bit and just have that focus when he needs to have it.
Yeah, it didn't derail him exactly, and even to the point where I talked about this on the podcast last week with Andy. So he had one of the first shoe endorsements in sport. So all the NBA players in the 80s had Converse.
Yeah,
and they maybe got paid $100,000 a year to wear these Converse, which obviously is a lot of money, but in today's sports terms,
not quite.
I've read this in Shoe Dog, which is a book by the founder of Nike called Phil Knight, and I've seen it in this program. I think they paid Michael Jordan when he was a rookie $3 million for his shoe deal across 4 years.
Oh my god!
In the hope that those Nike Airs, which later became known as Air Jordans, would pay for themselves in the first year. And actually, in the first year, they sold $136 million worth of them.
That's outrageous.
It's like a one-man brand. It's just...
I mean, that's the other thing that's really like fascinating, is when you really look into like those really bold marketing campaigns that like just there's no one's done them before, and you're like, why did you jump to doing, like, why would you ever?
Where did you
go from pay?
Yeah.
You pay Converse pay a very small amount for people to wear the Converses, right? But then you jump to 3 million on like basically a Hail Mary. And it's just so right.
It's hard for us to comprehend because Nike weren't a big company then.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they're huge now. I imagine they're the biggest sports company in the world, and then probably closely followed by Adidas.
Yeah.
But they were just taking a huge gamble, and they weren't in basketball. It's just like,
their brand does that as well, though, don't they? Because even with like this, they like controversy now as well. Like the kind of campaigns they go are really out there still.
I mean, it's like you've set me up here. So they know their niche. They know
their niche
so well. So like the Colin Kaepernick thing. I think that's what you're referencing, is the Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
American footballer who knelt during the national anthem in protest at Donald Trump, basically.
And then lost his career, and they basically Nike had his back the whole way through it.
Yeah, so all of the kind of oil baron white owners of these NFL teams banished him from the NFL, essentially, and went with the president. And lots of people in America were saying that he was against the national anthem and against the flag, and that simply wasn't true. He was just protesting against what he saw as racism, institutional racism. And Nike went the other way. They were like, okay, this guy's kind of a renegade. You know, he's standing up against the system, but his values align with ours, and therefore we're going to run a campaign around him. And I think it was their most successful campaign since the Air Jordan campaigns of the early 90s.
Yeah, well, that was the thing as well, because it ties into the not everyone has to like it, because there was loads of publicity about, Nike, like anti-Nike publicity that I saw around it, like people saying this is ridiculous, get behind someone's. But then, I think they themselves released the stats being like, all right, well, you're saying we made the wrong decision to do this, but this is our most, they put out how much like it's generated and like stats they got from it.
And that's something I think that's really important for any company of any size when you're niching, is the very nature of niching like that, and your messaging being direct and kind of at your audience, means that some people won't like you and may also actively speak out against you. That isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, that person probably, if they're like that far disaligned from you anyway, that person probably wasn't going to buy from you.
Yeah. So I think in my video this morning, I said, it gets rid of all the dickheads you don't want to work with anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
They may or may not be a dickhead, but in terms of the profitability and your business moving forward, they're going to hold you back. They're not going to align with you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, even if you ended up working with them, they're probably the client you'd end up having to change your service because they don't quite fit, or you'd have to wouldn't understand how you work, and there'd be all this like conflict anyway.
Yes, exactly. Hi, Joel and Andy here. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're loving sharing our marketing tips with you.
If you'd like to kickstart your marketing, why not jump on a discovery call? Simply visit codebreak.co.uk and apply there. Hopefully speak to you soon.
Take care. So it's kind of like playing your odds. You're going after the people that you're most likely to have success with. And that might be on an organisational basis. It might be you're a small company and that's because of your director's attitudes. It could be any number of things.
Yeah, and you get a feel for if you ran campaigns, or if you've been running your business, you get a feel for who it works and who doesn't work.
Yeah,
and you can.
Sorry.
Go on, sorry.
We know we had a standout client that clicked really well with us. And that was kind of what sparked our feelings about actually. Our niche isn't to do with the types of industries we want to work with, or it's more to do with the types of personality of owner that we want to work with.
Yeah, because the right owner with the right personality and values will make whatever service or brand or industry they're in work in the way, like if they fit that profile, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. Basically, I was in negotiations with an accountant who wanted some marketing, and then during a meeting one day, they mentioned a few of their values, and they were very similar to the values we'd got on our wall. And then a little bit further down the line in the meeting, they said, "Oh, and we want to launch our own beer." And I was just like, "Hell yes!" What accountants would say that? And then I immediately knew that they would understand our approach.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even like when you told us that in the office, it was. I think it was clear to everybody, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And just everything about it. Yeah. Exactly.
So I guess from a listener perspective, if you're a small business, maybe you're starting a business, particularly if you're starting a business, actually, because that's when this is at its scariest, because you're desperate for work, probably. You'd be happy for anything to come in. But actually, if that work's not profitable, or it doesn't click, or it's not going to make a great case study, how does that affect the future growth of your business?
Yeah.
And I think what you really want to do is have a look at the types of personality, the value of person that you want to work with, and then how do you get at them? And it might be that you've got to think a bit wider than you were before. So in our case, we were very, very regionalised. So most of our work was in Shropshire at one point, and now it just isn't. It's kind of like it could be anywhere in the UK or beyond. I mean, I had to work yesterday, Sunday, because of the time difference with Hong Kong, and they needed me to do some stuff for them over there. And but their values align with ours, and so it clicks, and I'm happy to do that. And that's.
Do you think that's an easy hole to fall into at the start of business, is to be too
I was in that
local?
8 years.
Yeah, because you might think, because if you're thinking about it, you might think, well, okay, I have things in common with people who are close to me, but these days with the internet, that's not necessarily the case at all. Like, you might have more in common with people who are over in Canada or America or Hong Kong or wherever.
Yeah.
People we're so well connected now. There really shouldn't be a geographical barrier.
Well, exactly that. I mean, to give some context, when I first started in business, my business was called Salop Creative, Salop being a kind of colloquial term for Shropshire. And I did that because I wanted to fit in the local marketplace, and I was young and thought that was the right thing to do. In hindsight, that was completely the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. But I can absolutely see why you did, because it does seem appealing to do it that way. Yeah. And also, speaking as someone who lives in Shropshire, I guess Shrewsbury is a very... That is an attitude that you see a lot in Shrewsbury.
There's definitely a clique. Yeah, there's definitely a clique where we are. And I don't think people would find that offensive. But what I did inadvertently was limit my business. So yeah, I probably won business because I generated some trust, generated a local feeling to it. But inadvertently, all of those inquiries I could have been getting further afield.
Yeah. Anyone who saw your business who doesn't know what Salop is, which is very small and niche, because not everyone, even in Shrewsbury, knows what that is. Then they were just like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly that. And I'm just going to close the window because of all this noise outside.
My road's getting louder now as well.
That should be better. Okay, yeah. All of those things you just said is that it kind of worked for me initially, but then now I'm like, our business is on a different level, and we invest heavily in our marketing, in our advertising, in our software. That just wouldn't work. There's not enough business in Shropshire for us to sustain.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So yeah, you said it worked to start with, but then you're really limited by the size of the town you're in, or the location you choose, because once you reach that point, because there's other businesses also competing for that, so you're limited to the few or handful of clients you can get there. And then what are you going to do if you've really restricted yourself with the name and your kind of service to people local to you? Then it's hard to push past that.
And it was almost, I was niching on the wrong thing. I was niching on geography, instead of niching on in my case, I think niching on values and personality. Obviously, if you're niching on geography because you can only deliver the service in that area.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, there's definitely reasons for it, like actual logistical like service limits. Then that makes sense.
If you're a dentist or a GP, it makes perfect sense. You're not going to.
But if you're an online business.
Yeah, and obviously sadly, when I started in marketing was a lot more physical than it is now. And so I didn't think that I would be able to drive boxes full of brochures all around the UK, stuff like that, where now I very much can set up a social media campaign in Timbuktu. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So. I think there's a lot of industries like that. If you think about retail as well, the online retail industry has absolutely exploded. And you can legitimately be a business that only operates online, that sells to the UK or the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Whereas before that was you could do it, but it was much harder to get into.
I was talking to people about this yesterday because they were telling me that drop shipping is dead, and I was bullshit basically. No, it's not.
No.
But yeah, it is. Everyone's trying to get into it now. I was like, but nobody's doing it properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not investing heavily in their advertising. They're not ensuring that the product is of the quality that it needs to be. They're not looking.
It's not the experience.
Yeah, exactly. They're not looking at the customer experience. They're not running their websites in a streamlined way. Yeah, drop shipping, you can't just jump into it overnight and expect it to work now.
No, and there's a lot of stuff you need to research, and a lot of it there's no set rules. It's what works for your customers and your business and your service.
Yeah.
And there's loads of options. There's loads of other companies that are trying to provide you services that vary from service to service. So it's actually really interesting. I think it's fascinating.
I've got a lot of time for drop shipping arrangements. And if you freeze your margins and stuff.
Over the weekend, my friends launched a business that sells. My friend's an author, and he set up his own like local publishing company, and they're just trying to sell their book themselves. But I was just chatting to them about what they're doing, and everything's just really interesting, just because of all the options that are available to a brand new company like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but knowing your niche with that helps a massive amount.
I was talking to a friend about the opportunities in drop shipping if you find a good niche. So this wasn't the niche we were talking about, but one niche I do know is people really interested in motorhomes.
Okay.
And obviously there's some spare parts and kind of online group forums and different types of gas and different types of battery and all these things that come with that world. And there's a whole kind of like subculture of people who just motorhome every weekend, or in my mum's case, motorhome around Europe for 2 years. It's sort of like, what a niche. And
but because of the internet, it's got a huge audience inside it.
Yeah. So you might be, I don't know, a caravan service provider, and you just think you need to cast your net wide, where actually you might be better picking on the leading brand of motorhome and saying that you specialise in servicing those. Charge a bit more, do a better job, get yourself aligned with the company, and you've got a huge audience to go at there, but also a very defined message and a very kind of defined standard.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly, people who are passionate about that. Then if you were going to do it locally, there'd be a limited amount of people who are interested in that specific type of motor. But in the world, if that's who you're targeting, then there's loads. There's absolutely tons. It's the beautiful thing about the most beautiful and most terrifying thing about the internet is that you'll always find a group of people who have the same values as you.
Yeah, you'll always find a subculture lingering. Whatever
it's endless. It's endless, but it is really good for marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes people, rightly or wrongly, are so generic with their service offering or their product offering or their marketing. They're just doing what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Because they want to appeal to as many people as possible. And actually appealing to less people, but appealing to them in a better way is more effective.
appealing to less people, but actually appealing to them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Because absolutely. I think going back, like one of the things with the people might overlook is the whole experience thing, but that's where a lot of your personality and your niche can come from, because that's where you provide things because at that level, if you were going general, it's hard to provide a service that is appealing to everybody. But once you know what your audience like, you can add little bits along in the process that lock them in as lifetime customers, because you're just reaffirming your affinity with them, so they know that as well.
Yeah, completely agree. So it's all about kind of, say someone sends you an inquiry in the first instance, what's the first message they get back? What's their first impression of interacting with your business? Is it
generic?
Yeah. Thank you very much for your inquiry. We'll get back to you within 3 days. Kind regards.
We look forward. Your business is important to us. Or something.
Yeah. Please hold the line. Get lost.
Yeah, but you can be so cool with that. Just that connection, and that'll tell the right people immediately if you're the right business for them. Certainly tells me.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if someone, I don't know, you sell computer games, and maybe you sell collectible computer games, so like retro Sega cartridges.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So you're pretty nailed down niche. And someone inquired and said, I was just wondering if you had the version 1 of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Master System. And you can go back and say, hey Sonic fan, fantastic to hear from you. Great news. We've got 3 copies of Sonic on the Sega Master System. And if you'd like to get your hands on them, I can reserve one for you today and we'll hold it for 3 days. Just give us a call on this number and we'll get that arranged. And the difference in that messaging to your inquiry is important to us.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the default message is the default for every other page. If they've messaged another page, they're probably expecting to get a crappy generic response, aren't they? That's what they're expecting. So when you break that expectation, you're doing more than just responding to them. You're showing them that you actually care about that engagement.
Yeah, I mean, I think an industry I always pick on is solicitors, but if you're a conveyancing solicitor, and I know this is a touchy one for you at the moment.
Yep, go ahead.
But imagine if you sent an inquiry to a conveyancing solicitor having never bought a house before, and the reply was, oh, fantastic that you're looking to buy your first home. Always a slightly nervous prospect. We're here to help you. We'd love to hold your hand through this process and make sure that everything is done so that you don't have to worry. Rather than, thank you very much for your inquiry. We're a busy conveyancing solicitor. We'll get in touch with you as soon as we can.
So who's this solicitor? That's quite interesting. I wouldn't mind their service. The first one.
But essentially, both those messages are exactly the same. They're just written differently.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's addressing the fact that first-time buyers are incredibly nervous, as they should be. And they, like, out of all of the things that a solicitor could offer me right now, support and confidence exactly is the thing.
So
and you can communicate that really quickly.
So from a solicitor's perspective, maybe they could say, right, we're going to specialise in first-time buyers.
Yeah.
And our niche is going to be first-time buyers because we know they probably need that little bit more support, but equally we're making their dreams come true. We're making something happen in their life that's so significant that it's rewarding for all involved.
Yeah.
Or you can say, actually, I don't want the hassle of that. I don't want to get involved with people who haven't done this before because they're raw. It's going to be a strain on our resources. And actually, let's go and help people on their second purchase, and it'll be
Yeah, which is fine too, because those people also need a slightly different service, and that's also a niche, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just choosing that niche and actually having it. The funny thing is, with going back to the solicitor example, there's not that many things you'd need to change to hold the hand through the whole process. You could do the opening message, and it's just the way you word it and the confidence that you grant with the touch points that you give.
It's the touch points. And I guess that's where someone like us comes in, but very rarely would a service like that look at it like this. But it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't even have to be the frequency. If you're worried about the hold hands or anything, it doesn't have to be that. It's just the confidence and the consistency of what you're telling.
Like for me, if my solicitor had said, sent a message saying, we've got all the documentation we need, we'll be in touch within 20 days, that would have put it to bed.
Yeah.
But all they did was say, we've got all the documentation we need. Yeah. Well, that's very open-ended, because when you can actually action any of it.
Yep, that's exactly the point I'm at right now. And I'm at the point where I'm going to have to chase for that.
Yeah, and that's not an unusual scenario. That's. I mean, I know the day that we picked up our keys, they hadn't called us. They didn't tell us the money had transferred. So I called and I was actually sat outside the house because obviously got moving van, everything. And I called and they said, internet banking is down, so we can't complete on your transaction. And my not so polite response was, I've paid you a lot of money. There's this crazy thing called the actual bank. I think we're completing today. And half an hour later they called and all sorted.
Amazing.
But
oh my god, yeah.
On what level does it sounds like I've got a bee in my bonnet about conveyancing solicitors now, but on what level is that okay?
It's not. It's funny. I think it's like a lot of people think of their marketing as the bit of service or marketing that you provide before they commit to a service, but really that the initial part of that service, when like the back and forth emails, maybe before money's transferred in this case, but that's all part of it. Like when we talk about our onboarding, we talk about it like we talk about all of our marketing. It's all about making sure everything's the most professional it can be, because you want repeat. Like if I wanted to use a solicitor again, surely you want me to come back.
Yeah. And tonally, it's all got to be on brand. So a very well-known business fact that most businesses seem to ignore is that most of your customer will come from your existing customer base.
Yeah, definitely.
But most people's marketing doesn't speak to that.
No, that's the community side of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can foster inside your service, out, like in your networking, when you're talking to people, in your content.
It blows my mind. And so many businesses that could upsell existing customers with stuff that they actually need, or could cement their relationship with the existing customers so that customer lasts longer.
So they'll come to you when they have a problem instead of searching around.
Like, people mistake customer acquisition for marketing.
Yeah.
That's not what marketing is. Customer acquisition is part of marketing. Like people mistake sales with marketing. Sales and marketing are two separate disciplines.
That's a very common one,
Often sales and marketing is the same.
Work hand in hand.
They work hand in hand, but they're different disciplines. Making people aware of your product, making people understand your values, and making people understand if you're for them or not is completely different to making people part with their money.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can have marketing that drives towards sales, but there's other aspects of that, and it's not normally the first port of call when you're thinking about it.
Yeah. It's like most people, actually I'm not one of these people, but I'd say a lot of people would aspire to have a Ferrari, but Ferrari are not selling to all of those people.
No. God, no.
Ferrari know their niche. They're not worried that a lot of the people that want a Ferrari can't have one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the mentality, the mindset you have to get into as a business owner or a manager is, who am I trying to sell to and how do I talk to them? And if on the periphery of that it attracts others, great. But that's not my core audience.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, can you hear my dog in the background?
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying it.
Oh god, it's so aggravating.
It's adding like an ambient tone to.
It's because I'm home alone, so they think that someone's in the house because I'm talking. Essentially, stupid dog. Pardon?
They're
protecting me. Oh, it's not. It's the little one. She just wants fuss.
Okay.
But yeah, I absolutely agree.
So yeah, I mean, I guess like what's the most niche product you've ever bought?
Oh God,
there's going to be something crazy weird here.
I'm trying to think of something because I like niche things, so I often go for them. Okay, I got a custom-made banjo skin from America with custom pickups built into it that I still have a relationship with the company that built.
How did you find them in the first place?
A lot of research. Their marketing was bad. Their marketing was really bad, but their follow-up was fantastic.
Hey everybody, it's Fergus and Jen here. We actually recently noticed that not all of you who are listening to this podcast are actually subscribed.
So why don't you click on the subscribe button so you don't miss out?
Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Their customer service is good.
Yeah, like they actually have mailing lists and stuff like that, but I feel like the first point was the flaw because they don't really go after new business, it doesn't seem, or new customers.
Or are you not in their core audience?
That is potentially because I had to import the thing. Yeah. Which was an absolute nightmare.
I bet, yeah.
But yeah, that's mine. I think there's definitely other stuff too.
Yeah,
what about you?
I thought you might hit me with some Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that's a really good one because that's actually a good example of marketing. Okay, so we got some custom in Dungeons and Dragons. For those who are not savvy, you have mini characters that you build a character around for the board if you're going to have a physical representation of what's going on, and you can get like the official D&D ones. You normally traditionally just get one that looks like what you're looking for, but it's not custom. But there's this really cool company called Hero Forge, who basically 3D print your minis, and you can customize them online, and you can get them to whatever specs you want, what size. You can give them certain types of armor, certain weapons. You can pose them, and then they just 3D print them and ship them to you. And it's not that expensive, but it's an absolutely incredible service, and they really know their niche too.
That's cool.
Yeah, their marketing's super on point. I love them.
Yeah, that's really cool. And they're not sat there going, well, we've got 3D printers, so therefore we could do models for people in all sorts of different things.
No, exactly. They saw a hole in the market. They're like, that's what we're going for. Their website is unbelievably on brand. It looks like you're on an official D&D website. So like they've matched their kind of brand with the tropes of that kind of fandom. Yeah, exactly. And they clearly are people who play Dungeons and Dragons because the things that they provide are really practical. Like they know that sometimes you need certain sizes of things. They fit onto a classic D&D board. The materials they print out of can be painted exactly like you'd paint a traditional D&D model. So yeah, it's really good. And yeah, it's perfect. I love it.
That's really cool.
I've always liked that service. And they popped up. That's a case of they targeted me with Facebook ads, and that's how I actually found out about them. And I didn't make that purchase for a year, maybe a year and a half, but I was aware of them the whole time, and it was something I wanted to buy and therefore like followed.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, really interesting. What about you? What's the most niche thing you've ever bought?
There's a couple. So there's one at the moment that I haven't bought, but because I've been watching The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, so Space Jam, a film with Looney Tunes in and Michael Jordan in that from the mid-90s has seen a massive resurgence because this documentary's on.
Yeah.
And so I watched Space Jam at the weekend. I've been watching The Last Dance, and suddenly I've started to get served adverts on my social media around basketball, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, the vests that they wear in Space Jam are suddenly become available on my Facebook shop. Like Toon Squad vests, and that is niche as hell.
That is super.
And I don't even play basketball, but I want one.
Yeah, well, that'd be such a cool thing to just have framed.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sort of so into that, and I really like that. Obviously, this sports merchandise company have identified a niche, got the licensing, and released that, and I just and
that's so cool.
So a lot of Chicago Bulls memorabilia, that kind of thing, doing the rounds off the back of that.
Yeah. God, yeah! If you buy that Space Jam thing, you're dooming yourself. Some serious marketing from other places.
Yeah, and then another niche one. I've got like weird fact for a podcast, but I've got really wide feet, which means that shoes for me in general are a bit of a nightmare because they just hurt. And when it was coming up to my wedding, I thought, right, I'm going to get some custom shoes. I'm not going to have an expensive suit. I'm not going to, there were 7 people at our wedding. It wasn't a flashy affair. But I'm going to have some custom shoes because I want to be comfortable all day. I'm probably going to spend most of the day on my feet. And 2, I just wanted a nice pair of shoes. And a company called Undandy, who are based in Portugal, basically let you design your own shoe. So it can be any style, it might be a trainer, it might be a shoe, it could be a boot. You can put your own flares on it, you can choose the materials, you can choose the normal size and then the width as well. And the service was amazing too. The messaging was really nice. They send you a handwritten note to tell you who made your shoe when it comes. It wasn't particularly expensive. It sounds really expensive, but it wasn't. And now they just target me periodically with so obviously when summer's coming around, they target you with kind of more trainer-like summery shoes, and then as winter comes around, they target you with boots, and just a really cool business for people who either want to do something with their shoes that you couldn't buy off the shelf, so a style factor or something, they want a red tongue or something, I don't know, or have awkward feet.
Yeah, and I imagine that big part of their marketing is just like now that they've identified you as someone who has a need for either of those two things.
Yeah,
you're the absolute perfect candidate to market to.
I'm essentially hitting both of those marks because I probably want something that looks a bit different and my feet don't fit any shoes. So like, this guy here, he's our customer avatar.
Remarketing is its own thing in its own right. That's just fantastic. But once you've identified your audience and you've now joined that community, Joel, forcibly,
And guess what? I haven't unsubscribed because I love messaging and I love what they say to me. And chances are, when we're not in lockdown and cash is a thing again, I might buy some. So
I think it's not super off topic, but I think retargeting has in the past had a bad rep because it can be abused. But people switch off to it or literally unsubscribe from it because you can. But it's an amazing tool for both the consumer and the business who are marketing when it's done correctly. And I recognize that I'm in funnels and I'm in retargeting campaigns. But if it's the right company and it's the right service, I like it. I'm better off in it.
Like I'm in one by a company called Hot UK Deals, who every day email you some great deals across the internet, and they'll be on like generic products, so not products that are customizable or anything like that. It'll be, and every day I get that email, and every day I have a quick scan through it, and probably once in 3 days something will pop up that I think, bloody hell, that's a good deal. It'd be like a little bit of tech or some cleaning products or whatever it might be. And I love being in that funnel. I feel part of it.
Yeah, because it provides you with a service.
Yeah.
Because potentially it can send you something that you actually need, and it's cutting out the searching for you because you've just been like, you might need this, and like, I do need that, and I was going to buy it.
And the way it's powered as well, the engine behind it is the more people that buy the deal, the more prominence the deal gets.
Right. So it's more relevant.
Yeah, exactly. The relevance is kind of aggregated by crowd, and I really like that. There's that appeals to me in 2 different ways. 1, everyone likes a good deal. 2, the data behind that sort of fascinates my geeky side.
Because it teaches what people are interested in and what's not.
Well, that, but it also shows, I love the fact that it knows this deal must be good because this many people bought it. And then that's how they build out their daily e-newsletter. But
imagine if you could just like look at which like a combination of which ones worked and which ones don't, you could start building like campaigns that you could see what works and what doesn't and apply it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you were a company who's been featured on there before, you could go and look at how many times you've been featured and which ones really took off and which ones didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they wouldn't mind you using that, but what a powerful piece of data.
Yeah. You've talked about big data recently, haven't you? But I just love it. It sounds like a really nerdy thing to say, but just because on its surface, data is super, super, super boring. But as soon as you start looking at stuff that's relevant and trying to apply it to things, it's so interesting and also unbelievably effective.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 conversations this morning about campaigns that Codebreak are running, and actually, when we got down to the data, it really backed up that we know our shit. It was quite cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no better feeling than that, I imagine. Just predicting the data, but it's always good to have.
This is what will happen. I know this will happen because I've done this 100 times before. Oh look, what
happened.
So,
yeah, but even if you can, then if you can predict it, it's always a useful tool to have to back you up if you need to justify things.
100%. You can't. That's the mistake people make. Is I've done this 100 times before, therefore the 101st time it will definitely work.
Yeah.
As soon as you get into the mindset of this is the way I've always done it, you're in trouble.
And from like our perspective, if you're trying to talk to someone, if you're trying to convince someone that this is the right path to take, just saying to them, "Trust me, I've done this 100 times before," might not fill them with confidence. But being like, "Trust me, I've done this 100 times before, and this is what your data is saying," then it's locked in.
Yeah, exactly that, and also the fact that we can pull case studies off other clients.
Yeah, exactly. This is what similar data in this industry has said, or whatever. It's more than a statement at that point. It's basically fact.
I mean, one of our clients at the moment, I think for every £1 they spend, they're making 8. And their niche is very narrow, a very narrow niche, and I shouldn't say who they are because it isn't fair, but let's assume, well, they are clothing. They're retail clothing, but kind of mid-price and aimed at a set audience.
Yeah.
And just what you can do with your advertising when you know who your audience is and you know how to speak to them is phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a huge difference than if they were trying to sell those products, but just to everyone in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in my lifetime. Big brands that did it really well and are now huge brands, maybe like Innocent Smoothies, Ben & Jerry's ice cream. They saw this kind of thirst for a kind of more ethical product that is also kind of based around ensuring that staff welfare, supplier welfare, all that kind of thing. And they've blown up into mainstream thinking now, so their niches became mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might not think like traditionally, like, oh, why would I market with my employee retention rate or satisfaction or something like that? But people actually care about that.
Yeah.
Efficacy with stuff as well. Like people want to buy from companies that are ethical.
Yeah, something that happens a lot when we're pitching and talking to people about helping them is, oh, Codebreak looks like a really nice place to work. And it's like, well, we try. And that it has to be.
And if you work with us, you can visit.
Pardon?
If you work with us, you can come and visit.
Well, yeah, eventually. But that's something we're working on now. We know who our audience is, so we're changing the messaging in our studio.
Yeah.
To talk to that audience rather than to be kind of a practical workspace. So. Yeah.
And that benefits everybody then, doesn't it? Because you want the environment to be welcoming to everybody. Because, and this is something I've only just thought about, but if you have an environment that's welcoming to your staff, but not your customers, there's nothing more uncomfortable for your staff than having someone who is then uncomfortable in the space. Because that is an uncomfortable thing.
Equally, someone comes into a marketing studio or marketing office or whatever you call it, and everyone's sat there in silence. that doesn't give the impression of a successful marketing operation.
Yeah, because communication is literally everything.
Yeah, chances are you come into ours, hopefully the music's blaring, people are chatting, the phone's probably ringing, you get offered a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or maybe a beer, depending what time of day it is.
Yeah.
And that immediately, that should, that's not for everyone. Some people won't like that. Fine, you probably won't like working with Codebreak. I can deal with
that. Yeah. But
some
some people really
like it.
Yeah.
We've got a customer at the moment who, every time we book a meeting, says, "Is there going to be biscuits?" Because we put biscuits out the first time.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've both been to offices that are the opposite of that, and it's noticeable because we're those people. And as soon as you step into a different environment, you see what other people have, like, maybe been going to, and the expectation of a repeat of that. And when you come into a nice environment, it's like, oh, this is lovely.
Yeah. I mean, that accountant I mentioned before, their new office, why they're setting the bar for targeting your niche. It's gonna be insane. But
it's really cool to see, though.
Yeah, I like how much they've embraced it. I think it'll work really well for them, and
yeah,
I'm all for it if it makes the business better for any stakeholder, customer, staff, whoever. Then it's a good thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it will benefit all across the board.
Yeah, because
it should.
So I guess for our audience, if you want to know more about niching, if you're interested in finding your audience, because that's not necessarily the easiest thing. If you need help researching your audience and who you need to speak to, what does align with your values, what aligns with your skill set, hop on a discovery call with me or Andy. We'd love to help you and take you on that journey and show you just what's possible.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Cheers, Fergus. Thanks for joining us.
Cool. No problem. See you next time.
All right. Take care.